Hello, friends, and welcome to the Professional Procrastinator. I'm your host, Rohila, and if you're tuning in, chances are you're ready to turn the page on your procrastination habits. Each episode is a step towards action. No guilt, just positive energy and better strategies. Let's jump in and make procrastination a thing of the past. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Professional Procrastinator podcast. I'm your host, Rohit. In today's episode, we are going to talk about 3 bad habits that we all have. These habits are holding you back and preventing you from truly moving forward in life. These are all centered around what I call your default behavior. And what default behavior is it's the way that you act and behave and think when you don't know what to do. It's essentially your autopilot. So for most of you, when it comes to your post-work routine, a lot of you might be watching TV as a way to relax, and that is your default behavior. So after work, you relax by watching television. So we all have our default behaviors, and it's what you do with these default behaviors that is going to dictate the success that you are going to have in life. So going back to that previous example, if you do watch television after work, you need to evaluate whether or not that is serving you. If you limit yourself to maybe a half hour or an hour and it relaxes you and then you do something productive, then it is serving you. However, if you just continue streaming one after another, and then it's time for dinner and essentially that's your evening, then it's not serving you. And if you take the time to reevaluate how much it is serving you, you might make some changes in your life and truly start making an impact, because now what you're doing is you're changing your default behavior. So let's get started with number 1, procrastination. That's why you are listening to something titled the Professional Procrastinator Podcast, is because you recognized that you have a tendency of procrastinating and there's something that you need to do to circumvent that. The fastest way to circumvent this is what I call the 15-minute action plan. Now, 15 minutes might sound like it's not that much time, but in all actuality, it truly is. On the GYST podcast, one of the challenges that we had on an episode was to sit silently and stare at a blank wall for 15 minutes. And what that does is, first off, you truly realize how long 15 minutes is. And it is a lengthy time. It's enough for you to take action, see results, and build some momentum. So the thing that I would recommend is take 15 minutes and clean. That's what I recommend, is 15 minutes of just pure cleaning. That's the only thing you should do. Just focus on one area, one aspect. And what that's going to do is that is going to build momentum. And that momentum will carry you forward in other aspects of your life. This is so powerful that the next episode is all about the power of 15 minutes, where I go into further detail about what to do during those 15 minutes and how you can continue to build that momentum. So again, number 1, procrastination. And the best way to circumvent that is just do some cleaning for 15 minutes. No longer, because then what will happen is you will start associating that 15-minute cleanup with a greater task. So even though you might take an hour to fully clean your bedroom, for example, again, only spend 15 minutes. The second one is people avoid challenges. They avoid challenging themselves. Essentially what that means is staying in your comfort zone because you know what to expect. Again, that's your default behavior, is avoiding challenges. And what happens is anytime we are faced with a challenge, learning something new, like a new skill, or one of the things that a lot of people say is they want to cook, but they don't know where to start, and so they avoid it altogether. They might come up with recipes and do the research, but the action plan is what's missing. And what happens is, subconsciously, what your brain does is it evaluates the gain that you would receive from the amount of effort that you would need to put in. And when it comes to effort, what we do is we overestimate how much effort it's going to take to produce something that is visible to us, enough to justify what we're doing and evaluating whether the gain is worth it. What I would recommend is switch your thought process from evaluating the gain versus the effort and switching that to the gain you would receive versus the avoidance that you are having. Going back to that previous example of learning to cook, right? What we do is we evaluate subconsciously a well-cooked meal versus the amount of effort it's going to take. But instead, if you think about what you could gain from cooking a meal versus what you gain from avoiding it, you're going to realize that at least some gain is going to move you into a positive direction. You're going to build momentum. You're going to keep moving forward. So again, people like to avoid challenges because it's safe. It's in your comfort zone. And what we do is evaluate the gain versus the amount of effort that we put in, but instead just switch it around to the gain that you would receive versus the amount of avoidance that you are having in prolonging yourself from accomplishing something. The third one is you don't have a morning routine. Again, going back to what our subconscious or our brain does is when you wake up in the morning, you might hit the alarm clock, you might hit the snooze button, you might reach for your phone first. But what that does is that sets you up for a reactionary day instead of a proactive day. Not only are you delaying your day, delaying getting started in the right way, but especially when you reach for your phone, what you're doing is you're checking for text messages, maybe you're scrolling Reddit or Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be. What you are doing is you are now reacting to the stimulus that you are gaining from your phone. And what that does is that sets you up in a reactive way instead of a proactive day. So what can you do instead? You can exercise. Just go out and go for a quick walk. You can meditate. Just sitting silently for a few minutes is going to do a world of wonder for you. Just sit up in bed if you're still in bed and just close your eyes and breathe. And that's it. What that's going to do is that's going to teach you how to be present. And the more present you are, the more proactive you will be. And the third thing that you can do is just plan your day. A perfect example is a small change that is going to make a lasting impression. And what I recommend to most people is just go outside for a few minutes and breathe. That's it. Again, it's just something simple that you can do that doesn't take a lot of effort, doesn't require a lot of change, but soon you'll start feeling the momentum that you will be gaining in your life. So just go outside, even if it's cold. Trust me, I live in Seattle where it rains all the time, and I am one of those people that always runs cold. But just go outside and just breathe. Look around. Look at the trees. Look at the grass. Look at some plants and bushes and shrubs that you might have. If you see some birds flying around, look at the clouds. There's so much that you can do, but just be present. So again, this was a bit of a quick episode that went over the 3 bad habits that we all have and how to circumvent them. So to sum it up, 3 things that you could do. 1, just 15 minutes of cleanup. Again, this is so powerful that the very next episode is going to be dedicated entirely to the 15 minutes and how it will build your momentum. Instead of number 2, instead of focusing on your gain versus your effort, evaluate your gain versus what you get from avoiding. And number 3, just go outside and breathe for a few minutes. Do something to break up your routine. It's something small, something simple, but what it's going to do is it's going to start shifting your mindset into a more productive one and a proactive one versus a reactionary one. There's plenty of tips like this in my book, I'll Do It Tomorrow Ends Today. If you want to check it out, go to Amazon and just type in "I'll do it tomorrow," and you'll find tons of tips like this within that book about procrastination. It has over 200 pages of challenges and learning about your individual procrastination styles and come up with strategies. So in ending this quick episode, thank you again for spending your time with me. Hopefully it wasn't just another form of procrastination. I'm Rohila, reminding you that sometimes later becomes never. So do it now. You deserve it.